My dear, dear Sarah J. Maas, I have some questions. Alright, whether it's Sarah or Maas or Maas or she's never gonna watch this, okay? This is for everybody else. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses this year. My life is forever changed. I haven't read true romantasy in a very long time, if at all. The last thing I can think of that had romance in it was the Sword of Truth series, which is nothing like A Court of Thorns and Roses. So, as many of you know, we shorten it to ACOTAR, which is the initials of the first book. When I say ACOTAR, I'm usually talking about the entire series, not just this book, because some of the relationships, let's say, in this book are very different than all of the later books, and so it's kind of important to distinguish between the whole series and this book. That being said, spoilers, spoiler warning, spoiler alert for the entire thing, because I don't know what I'm about to say. I just have a lot of thoughts, and these books make me very, very, very happy, so my brain is probably going to just kind of explode and do what it wants. So, spoiler alert for all of it, all of it, all of it. Okay, I loved, and I have a couple videos about this, just kind of my thoughts rolling out. I did love the writing in here. There were a few nitpicky things, which I'm actually going to get to in a minute here, but the writing was descriptive, the characters were awesome. I didn't know who to pay attention to until I kept reading the series, so then I had to go back and I reread the second half of this. Oh, but this got me hooked. And then I read the second one, and then I went back and I did this to it, and then I reread the whole second book. This kind of changed my life, and I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I'm not lying. The twist at the end of this, like I said, it had me going back to read this. I have been thinking about these characters ever since. The longest book out of these 5 is 700 pages. This one is 624. These are not short books. This and the 4th one are probably the shortest. I'll show you them all in a second, but I wanted to explain why this one looked like this. This is all the clues, or the chapters that have recent and Farah. I don't know if it's Rhysand or what. Rhys, okay? I've been saying recent. I think the audiobook said that I listened to, but I think there might be a couple of those. I might as well have read this 3 times because I was skimming for Rhys chapter. In love. In love. Now, everything I come across, I'm comparing to this in one form or another. Every recommendation I make is based on this, and there's some spicy, spicy stuff in here. However, I loved it. I just ate that up. Some of them I reread probably 20 times in a row because you really are wanting these characters to get together. It's so well written. This is 5 out of 5 stars, 6 out of 5 stars. You know, the books aren't perfect, but I don't freaking care. Give me more, please, of this universe. So I read the first one, and then I bought the box set because I was there's no way I'm not reading the rest of this series. These hit me at a point in my life where I read most of this, but let me get to it. All right, so the first one, read it, loved it. Like I said, I had to go back and reread some of it again. I'm going to put A Court in Mist and Fury out because of all those tabs. I'm not willing to crush them all yet. And then Court of Wings and Ruin, the third one. I was reading a lot of it in the hospital, and it got me through a lot. So I feel like these first 3 books were kind of the full story arc that the author wanted to get to. I feel like they were well planned out, and if she had wanted to, she could have written a book that was 2,000 pages. I feel like she knew where that was going. This one, the 4th one, is kind of more of a Hallmark movie. Still loved it, and the sex scenes are whew. amazing. Like I said, I have a little bit of my thoughts about the first one. I recorded like a whole hour of me talking about this book after the first time I read it. I haven't decided if I want to post it or not because I didn't know as much as I do now about the story because I went back and reread so much of it. But it's kind of my first impressions and like what I remembered, so I don't know, I may post it. Let me know if I should post it. Then we got to the fifth one, the longest one. Not gonna lie, I was pissed, spoiler alert, that it was about Nesta and Cassian. I was pissed it wasn't Feyre and Rhysand. I needed more of them, and I kind of, by looking things up on the internet, I kind of spoiled it that like she was gonna have a kid. So, and that was in here, but not to the detail that I wanted. I really wanted to see it from their perspective, and instead it was Nesta and Cassian. Nothing against those two characters at all. I still read it. This was probably the spiciest of all the spice. I don't know how, because Rhysand and Feyre, yeah, a lot happened. But this one was a special kind of spice. I'm not attracted to Cassian's kind of personality. He's kind of like, he's not just this, but he's like the big brute of the bunch, you know? I'm definitely a Rhysand girly or even an Azriel girly. Like, I would have loved if it was about, let's say, Azriel instead of Cassian. Like, yeah, like it was hinted at that those two were gonna get together, and I liked the story arc of Nesta. I liked Nesta more than I like Cassian, and I knew they were gonna get together, but there's a lot of issues in here. Like, Rhysand's whole thing is that like Feyre can do what she wants and make her own choices and be her own woman, and then they force Nesta to basically go through rehab. I mean, I guess it's for her own good, but like that's kind of not what they usually do or stand for. And the story arc for Nesta, like even though it was her own story, like we kind of already read that with Feyre. We get a lot more from Feyre's eyes, so it seems like a longer journey, I guess. I love the new characters in this book. Gwyn and Emery like are incredible. But while I was reading it, I kind of felt like we've seen this before. It's just new names. That might not be completely fair, and I know some people, this is like their favorite book, and I'm not knocking it at all because I get that. I just don't like Cassian as much as some of the other characters, so like he's not as hot to me. I don't know. That's just my thing. But this is the fifth one. However, before I put it in its box and keep talking about it until everybody gets tired of me talking about it, I wrote down some things that just drove me crazy every time I read it. After I just gushed about all 5 of these books, and it's been about 10 minutes in real time here, and now I'm gonna go back through and tell you some of the things that were getting on my nerves this entire series. So I have questions about why these things were included. No hate to this story at all because this changed my freaking life. And I'm probably gonna reread the entire thing, and I hope to God a 6th book comes out soon because I don't know what I'm gonna do. I started Throne of Glass. I just bought it and started reading it because I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I'm on such a hangover from these. But let me tell you a couple things that bothered me, and then we'll see if you agree. Okay, I'm gonna keep this in my hands because I need something in my hands, and this shows you that I've been through all 5, okay? Although the things that are bothering me are kind of throughout the entire thing. So let's start with the first one. This is my least favorite thing that was included in this series. What on God's name is up with Feyre constantly throwing up? It's disgusting. It's not funny. And it's not like, ow, my leg hurts. It's like, I kid you not, some chapters, I was getting nauseous and had to stop reading it. I get it, and it's like literally a guttural reaction, but I'm like, I cannot keep reading about mostly Feyre, but other characters too, just throwing up constantly. It was like I should tab one of the books for every time they throw up, except that I can't even look at it. So I have to if I kind of feel like that's coming, I would have to like skip forward a few words because it's gonna make me nauseous even just to talk about it. So I hope I didn't just jinx myself and now everybody's gonna bring it up on the internet to be mean. But like, oh my god, if this becomes a series or a movie or something, which I would love, knock on wood, I don't want to see that. Please don't have that in an adaptation. Oh my god, that's disgusting. Like, live action, like the sound and stuff. I can't. No, stop, please. It's way too prevalent. I mean, she either talks about it or does it. I swear it's like every chapter. Every other chapter, maybe. I don't know. What the hell? I don't know if it's in her other series as much, but I'm about to find out. Okay, the next one's kind of spicier. I'm not going to explain what it means, but if you know, you know. The whole phrase of being feasted upon, it was one of my favorite, like, new descriptions about spicy scenes in the first book when they finally, you know, had the scene. And she used those words, but she kept using them. So then, like, every scene, that's how she described a certain sex act, and I was like, okay, now it's making me roll my eyes because she's said it so much, you know, even if it's not the same characters doing the thing. So it just kind of got a little bit, like, took me out of the scene. The spicy scenes are really, really well written, I think, in general, and they're not, like, too cliche or anything. So other than that, like, I think it was fine, but just that phrase just started to take me out of, like, the story and be like, oh god, again? Like, say it a different way. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a writer, but there's gotta be other things you could mix it up a little bit. I don't know. The third thing that bothered me, what is sketching a bow? Sketching a bow? I picture it where they're like this. Like, they're bowing in an exaggerated manner. Because sketching it? Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't get it. What? Somebody explain to me what sketching a bow is. Sketching a bow? Or the bow tie? I don't know. I mean, they were using it, like, sarcastically, but it was constantly. That was, like, one of the main things that they just did to, like, in conversation with each other. It just kind of seemed odd to me. The other thing was, like, baring their teeth and hissing at each other. I guess, I mean, they're fae. They're not, I mean, fae used to be human, but, like, they're not exactly human. But the scenes were written so beautifully and visually sometimes, but then they'd be like, she bared her teeth at him, and I'm like picturing, like, what does this look like? Like, you've got this beautifully described scene and, like, interaction between these characters, but then they're all, like, hissing at each other. Shh! Like, I mean, are they like cats? Like, what is going on? They're sketching bows and they're hissing. The other thing is that she keeps saying they purred words. It just bothered me the very first time in the very first book. She mentioned, like, the love interest was, like, making Feyre purr, and I'm like, that's just a little awkward. I don't know, I just, like, like, are you making that sound in the middle of a sex scene? Sometimes she uses it, like, I'm talking about the author now, like, she sometimes uses it, like the tone of voice, especially with that Rhys uses, where he's kind of so suave about things. But purring was a very, very prominent feature of these Fae characters. And it didn't bother me. And maybe the first few bothered me, but it was just weird. Like, I just thought it was weird. So maybe, like, come up with a different word, because I couldn't picture them purring at each other. I couldn't picture them baring their teeth and hissing at each other in the middle of, like, a conversation. I don't know. It was just a little weird. Another thing that I had a hard time, like, seeing in my head, at least, like, the 7th time that they described it, was especially the character Moore hopping from foot to foot. What the hell is that? I understand that. I can visualize it. But some of the times where she was hopping from foot to foot, and I'm just like, this is like the middle of a throne room or something. Like, why is she hopping around? It's like I have to pee dance or something. Like, maybe she had to pee. I don't know. But the hopping from foot to foot, it was a little overdone. And it made me laugh, if anything else. I think so did the, like, purring thing eventually just kind of made me laugh. The next thing I wanted to mention is, like, I understand why you can't say this man did this and this woman did this when they're fae and not human. I also just kind of related to that, like, the inclusivity in skin tones, culture, clothing, like, this was a very diverse and inclusive series, and I absolutely loved that. And I get you can't call them man or woman, but to say the male did this or the female did this, it kind of, because it was so frequent, and I guess we don't realize how much man or woman, like, oh, this guy, this lady, this man looked like this, and we don't realize how much that creeps into our language until I read it and it changed into the male and the female. So kudos for, like, making that more believable by using male and female instead of man and woman. But it was also a bit much after a while, where it was like every other word. And because it was different than what our usual speech patterns are, like, it just kind of stood out. But I also kind of loved that she used it. It's just sometimes it got, like, weird. I don't know. And then, this isn't necessarily a problem, but can we just talk about the lint for a sec? Reese's lint flicking. I think the lint on people's clothing probably had more scenes than, like, Elaine did. It was badass in the beginning because Reese just did not give a you-know-what and would just flick the lint off of people's clothing that wasn't really there. But the invisible lint just kept coming up, and it made me laugh too. I'm like, because by the end of, you know, thousands of pages, you're just like, oh, the lint again. Like, it became its own character. And it was mostly Reese, but I think other people did it as well. And it just got so funny. It's like, oh, the invisible lint motif. Like, here we go again with the lint. Ugh. I noticed that I'm having fun with these, even most of them, except for that first one there. But, like, I loved it. Overall, I loved it. These things kept, like, coming up, standing out to me enough that I wanted to, like, make a video about it and ask you if they bothered you too. Please, 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 please comment on the ones that I forgot, because I'm sure there's more. Here comes the cat. Hi, baby. And now is the ceremony of putting them in the box. The second one, it's gonna bother me that the green isn't showing, but I'm just not ready to, like, crush the tabs yet. Ugh. It's a tight fit. Okay, well, the blue one's just gonna have to be a little bit off here, but Sarah J. Maas, thank you for changing my life. This series absolutely is worth all the hype. Even with its faults, it's worth all the hype. And I think it's a good thing that people are comparing it to all the other fantasy series. I hope it, you know, survives the test of time. You know, it's not Tolkien, it's not, you know, something like that, but it's really, really good. It's just an adult book series, but I loved it. I loved it, and I could keep going on and on and on about it forever, but I'm probably going to go read the second book again. In the meantime, I'm going to try Throne of Glass. I am reading Fourth Wing, but I'm going to refrain from talking about that right now because I have a lot to say about that one as well. That may surprise you. Let me know if you want me to make a video about Fourth Wing. I don't know how that's going to go. Anyway, thank you for watching this. I absolutely adore these. Let me know if you do too. If you don't like them, that's fine. That's totally fine. I have had many online conversations at this point from people who don't like this, but do like other books that I don't like. So it's all over the place. But basically, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. My dear, dear Sarah J. Maas. Sarah? Dear Sarah, what am I saying? Restart this. Oh my god. Oh god, it's like hot over here. What was I gonna say about the second one? I'm more of an Azria. This is the fifth one. I just hit myself in the face with it. I'm not always going to be talking about this book, although the things that are I think the lint on people's clothing got more like scenes. I gotta start that over. I can't can't even get them all in.